This is CBC Winnipeg News.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. 2 Winnipeg men are in hospital tonight after being shot during an armed robbery. It happened at their home-based jewelry store in front of children. They say thieves made off with nearly $1 million worth of goods. As CBC's Gavin Axelrod reports, it's left the family sleepless and worried.
Armed robbers rush into this house with guns drawn. It's a home-based business in the Maples area called Rajan Jewelers. Rajan Dalla runs the store with help from his father. You can see Dalla trying to fight back. His dad was shot in the leg. Dalla was shot too. Both are in hospital.
And one is like there, they go through there, and you see.
Dalla is recovering from 7 gunshot wounds and surgery from a broken femur. He says one of the bullets was near his groin and went through to the other side.
The doctor said it's the 1-inch difference, then you're gonna be died. You're gonna be died. Only that much difference.
Dalla and his family say they are traumatized by what happened October 9th. Thieves clean out the store in front of family and customers. Then some of the people inside are herded into the garage.
This pain is a worst pain in the life.
Dalla's surveillance video shows people coming in at 6:25 in the evening and leaving in a getaway car about 3 minutes later. Dalla says customers and some of his family members were in the home at the time for his wife's birthday celebration.
Basically, we are not feel safe now. We are planning to move back our home country because we are come here, get a citizenship, and we do work and we do everything. Now, if we are not safe, so then why we gonna live here?
Dalla thinks he was threatened this past February when someone came to the store saying he had heard the business was going to be robbed months earlier. Dalla didn't go to police, but now says he should have.
Too much pain. I can't sleep from the 3 days, for the pain.
Rajan Jewelers has a residential home-based business development permit. It allows them to take phone orders. It does not permit the outside storage of products, employees or customers on the premises, and personal service provided on the premises. Dalla says the business is online-based, but people sometimes visit the store because the Indian community is tight-knit and they have many family friends.
My shop is under renovation. In the couple of months we are moving.
Dalla thinks he's out about $1 million worth of gold. The Winnipeg Police Service's Major Crimes Unit is investigating. Dalla says the attack has broken his family physically, mentally, and financially. Gavin Axelrod, CBC News, Winnipeg.
A Scottish jury has convicted a man for killing his Canadian girlfriend last year in Scotland's remote Shetland Islands. The 41-year-old will serve at least 25 years for killing 24-year-old Claire Levesque. Levesque was from Alberta and had family here in Manitoba. Karen Pauls has more, but first, a warning: the story contains details of intimate partner violence and may affect those who've experienced it or know someone who has.
Today, we were able to get justice for Claire.
Hope Ingram traveled to this Edinburgh court from Canada to support her uncle, Claire Levesque's father. They were cousins, but she considered her a sister.
She was so light, she was so bubbly. She wanted to explore the world, and that is why she traveled out here to Scotland.
In 2023, Levesque followed her boyfriend, Aaron Pearson, from Edmonton to his mother's home in the remote Scottish Shetland Islands. Locals saw Pearson driving his Porsche around, but many didn't realize he had a girlfriend with him.
Claire had, as far as I understand it, no money. She had no driver's licence. She had no access to a car of her own. And she was living in a very, very rural and remote place.
Levesque recorded conversations in which Pearson said she deserved the beatings he gave her.
And that message stated to Pearson that one day he would kill her. And in February of 2024, that's exactly what happened.
Court heard an excerpt of an emergency call made from the house that day.
Hi, my name is Aaron Pearson. I just killed my girlfriend in a hot tub in the garage.
What's your girlfriend's name?
Claire Levesque.
Pearson's mother told police he was behaving like a zombie. He'd stabbed himself, consumed brake fluid, and drove his Porsche into the sea. In court, Pearson said Levesque stabbed herself, and he couldn't remember what happened next. The jury and the judge didn't buy it.
This malicious, vindictive, and wholly fabricated account suggests certainly to me that you have sought to continue to humiliate your victim after her death.
Pearson has a criminal history in Alberta, too. A court check found charges, including assault with a weapon, between 2016 and 2023, although most were withdrawn. That angers this family friend who's been following the case from Winnipeg.
He never had convictions, but victims have come forward speaking about the level of violence that they survived.
Hope Ingram says she needs to move on, but hopes her cousin will be remembered by her life and not her gruesome death.
My goal in life to try and remember Claire is just to be as kind, as open.
Karen Pauls, CBC News, Winnipeg.
The province would like to see a 72-hour detox centre for highly intoxicated people open as soon as November 1st. Last week, the province said the centre could open at 190 Disraeli, the spot previously eyed for a supervised consumption site. The housing minister says it will all hinge on passing a bill to extend involuntary detention lengths from 24 to 72 hours.
They're going to be brought there and released to someone there, and then when they're deemed not intoxicated and safely to be released, they'll be released back into the community.
Opposition leader Abi Khan says he supports the idea but has questions like how it will be staffed and the cost. Winnipeggers can voice their opinion tomorrow at a committee meeting. Well, this one is hard to miss. A giant hole in what used to be the atrium of Portage Place Mall. Work is currently underway to transform the space into a medical centre and residence. For decades, the mall acted as a wall between two sides of downtown. And as CBC's Mike Arsenault shows you, the new design has some feeling optimistic about the future of the city's core.
The walls are coming down at Portage Place. Excavators are ripping out the insides of this building, and center court is open for everyone to see. As work to rejuvenate this space continues, there's optimism that it'll help to rejuvenate the downtown area as well.
Sean Kavanagh with True North Real Estate Development says the hole in Portage Place at the intersection of Portage Avenue and Edmonton Street is getting a lot of attention. He says the new opening is a small preview of things to come.
One of the things that folks might not realize is that at one point or another, Edmonton Street will be reestablished. So that'll be a working road again.
Portage Place is now open.
Portage Place Mall first opened in 1987. 3 blocks of Portage Avenue were demolished and the new mall was built, blocking 3 side streets that used to cross Portage Avenue. Kavanagh says Portage Place inadvertently acted as a wall, dividing 2 sides of downtown.
One of the architectural concepts is to open things up again so that there's a connection with Ellis and Central Park and the rest of the downtown. You can feel both sides.
Urbanist Brian Pincott says Portage Place Mall was initially built to revitalize downtown, but it was an experiment that didn't work.
It doesn't work because you need to drive there, you need to park, and it does nothing for the street life.
Pincott says more housing like the units destined for Portage Place is the first step towards revitalizing downtown. I spoke with Winnipeggers to get their thoughts on Portage Place construction.
If we're starting to use some of these derelict buildings for other things and get them filled up, then I'm all for it.
It was kind of shocking. This is the first time I've walked by, though, with everything sort of taken out of the facade.
I think this is the kind of thing that we need down here. Something better than it was. Like it was just for the longest time it was just vacant.
True North says the Portage Place project will transform the downtown and usher in a new era for the city. The project, including a new healthcare tower and residential tower, is scheduled to be complete in 2028. Mike Arsenault, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Weather specialist Riley Lachuk in now. And Riley, we have managed to stave off that snow in the south. not the situation in the north.
Yeah, still dealing with quite a bit of snowpack in northern Manitoba, Brittany, and the impacts from that snow through the weekend. Manitoba Hydro earlier this afternoon saying still around 750 customers without power in northern Manitoba, hoping to have some of that restored through the day today. And you can kind of see on this map here, the visible satellite, some of this white shading around Thompson, around Gillam. This is visible satellite picking up that snowpack. It has been shrinking throughout the day today because we have seen some temperatures above zero and a bit of a sunnier sky throughout the day today. So that has helped things slightly in northern Manitoba. Do expect some melting to come in the coming days here. Across the south, we have seen mainly cloudy skies, some peaks of sunshine as expected throughout the day today. We'll get a bit more cloud cover building in as we get through the night tonight, looking at 7 degrees, a good chance of showers in Winnipeg, a better chance into Westman. But as we get into the day on Thursday, we are looking at periods of rain through the day, lasting into the day on Friday, getting up to 11 degrees tomorrow afternoon, Brittany. And a bit of a damp one tomorrow. We'll talk about this and when we get to see the sunshine again when I come back.
All right, get that umbrella ready. Thanks, Riley.
You're welcome.
Exonerated for a murder they never committed. That wrongful conviction could cost the city millions. More on that next. Manitoba's government is high on carbon capture as a means of combating climate change. But, as CBC's Bartlett Kivas reports, the technology has its critics.
Montreal tech startup Deep Sky has its eyes on southwestern Manitoba. The carbon capture company plans to build a $200 million facility somewhere in traditional Dakota territory with the goal of removing 30,000 tons of carbon dioxide directly from the air every year at the start.
We're excited about this new technology.
Environment Minister Mike Moyes likes the idea, even though he acknowledges removing carbon from the air is no silver bullet when it comes to mitigating climate change.
This is a new technology, and we know that there's going to take a lot of different pieces of that puzzle in order to get us down the path of net zero.
Despite the enthusiasm among members of Wabkinu's cabinet for carbon capture, the technology has its critics. They include climate activists as well as energy policy experts. Last week, Manitoba's Climate Action Team described carbon capture as expensive, unproven tech. Climate policy experts also say there are more cost-effective ways to combat carbon emissions.
I'd much rather see us spend that money on energy efficiency, heat pumps, more wind power, electrification of transport, all things that the province is committed to.
Deep Sky says carbon capture is just one tool in the fight. In a statement, CEO Alex Petrie said the technology helps remove historic carbon emissions, cleaning our air and lessening extreme weather events that are damaging our communities, like the devastating wildfires Manitoba experienced this summer. But there are also questions about whether Manitoba can supply enough energy for carbon capture. It needs a lot of power, and Manitoba Hydro has already warned it cannot meet the needs of all new industrial developments.
I would be cautious about directing a lot of megawatts to other sources at a time where we're 5 to 10 years away from massive demand spikes for the electrification of transport.
The project is starting to move ahead. A signing ceremony is slated for Thursday between Deep Sky and Chinupawakpa Dakota Nation. Bartlett Kivas, CBC News, Winnipeg.
The city is proposing a $7 million payout as part of a settlement to compensate 3 men wrongfully convicted of a 1973 murder. It's a case the courts have said was marred by systemic racism. CBC's Cameron McLean reports.
More than 50 years after the wrongful convictions of 3 First Nations men, a potential settlement has been offered. The City of Winnipeg proposes paying $7 million toward a global settlement with the province of Manitoba and Ottawa to compensate Brian Anderson, Alan Woodhouse, and Clarence Woodhouse. These men, along with Russell Woodhouse, who died in 2011, were convicted in 1974 for the murder of Ting Fong Chan, a Winnipeg restaurant worker. Anderson spent about a decade behind bars, Clarence 12 years, and Alan more than 20, all on convictions later quashed after a federal review. Chief Justice Glenn Joyal formally acquitted them in 2023 and 2024, describing the cases as infected with systemic racism. If Winnipeg Council approves the settlement, it would be among the largest payouts for a wrongful conviction in Manitoba. Previous wrongful convictions for Thomas Sofino resulted in a $2.6 million payment in 2002, and James Driscoll received $4 million after his conviction was overturned in 2005. The city's own report warns that rejecting the latest settlement will mean years more of costly litigation. If approved, the money would come out of the city's financial stabilization reserve. A lawyer representing the 3 men declined to comment on the settlement because the details have not been finalized. A spokesperson for the Attorney General of Canada also said details of the dispute resolution process are confidential. Cameron McLean, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Manitoba's children and youth advocate says government leaders failed to protect young wildfire evacuees this past summer. 32,000 people were forced out of their communities from wildfires in Manitoba. The independent office says children's health and education are hurt by fires, particularly in remote and Indigenous communities that are more likely to be evacuated. It wants a full assessment done on the wildfire's impact on kids. It also wants to see mental health, education, and child protection supports become a part of emergency planning. A memorial 9 years in the making was unveiled today for Winnipeg police officers whose dedication is regularly rewarded with back pats and head scratches. 4 Tyndall stone columns lined with name plaques and a bronze statue pay tribute to the dogs that have served in the Winnipeg Police Service. It also includes a memorial garden and a path of engraved stones from donors with personal messages or memories of their own pets or loved ones. Conceptualized in 2016, the garden was brought to life through 8 fundraising initiatives.
The memorial is not just about loss, it's about gratitude. Gratitude for life saved, for service given, and for the example these dogs set for all of us. May this place always remind us of our canine members' loyalty, courage, and heart.
Police say there have been more than 78 dogs in the service since the unit started in 1971. A nice new place for people to go and pay their respects in memory.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe tomorrow, not the day to be doing that outside. That rain looks like it's coming, keeping that umbrella handy and those sunglasses probably going away for a couple days.
Next couple of days, Brittany, just prepare for a bit of a damp one. The raincoats for the kids heading out to school, the umbrellas, if they're not too cool for the umbrellas.
The battle begins, parents.
Exactly. And perhaps the rain boots as well. We'll start big picture. There's a couple of things to see on the impact that our weather will have here over the next couple of days. First off, I'm going to draw your attention to the territories here. You can see this classic spinning comma shape in the cloud cover. This is a first area of low pressure that won't necessarily have that much of an impact weather-wise in Manitoba, but could pull temperatures back slightly in the north over the next couple of days. The second is this little bit of instability that's starting to develop over Colorado, and this is what's going to have a larger impact on our weather as we get toward the weekend here. So pushing forward in time here, high pressure. This tried to clear us out, didn't do a great job, but we did get a bit of sunshine today. Through the overnight hours, you can see the leading edge of some of that precipitation starting to push into southern Manitoba, so do expect some showers in places like Boissevain overnight, into Melita, into Brandon, into the southern part of the Parkland and into the central Interlake around the Narrows, for example, and into Gimli, looking at some showers to the overnight hours. As this advances a little bit further north, this is where we run into some periods of rain throughout the day through the Red River Valley and into southeastern parts of the province as we get through the afternoon hours. We'll get some breaks in this, so not a total washout tomorrow, but do expect that we'll get into some rainfall on and off throughout the day on Thursday. This cold front through the north helping to kind of clear things out as it pushes south, does pull temperatures back slightly, but still relatively warm for this time of the year in northern Manitoba as we get through the next couple of days, and that will help with that snowpack that we saw over the weekend. The next thing that I'm watching is this warm front with this main low as it pushes northward. As this pushes through the province overnight Thursday into Friday, could trigger some thunderstorms. So I have put a thunderstorm risk in the forecast Thursday evening into Friday morning, really for anywhere east of Portage La Prairie through the Interlake and back into northwestern Ontario, while the western side of the province is back into a little bit more of a steady rain once again as the system pushes northward through the day on Friday. I've stopped it at 7 o'clock here because this is when the Bomber game gets underway against the Riders Friday evening. This particular forecast model, and I'm fairly confident that this rain will end by the time that game starts, but do prepare for at least the first half of that game to perhaps be a bit damp as we get Friday evening, and then the north getting a good shot of rain as we get into the day on Saturday. This particular forecast model, this rainfall numbers that I'm going to show you here, does take into account the potential for some of that thunderstorm activity. So they are a bit inflated, but we are looking at a general 10 to 15 millimeters of rain, but some pockets where we do get into some higher accumulations as we get into the next couple of days here. Wake up temperatures around 8-9 degrees across much of southern Manitoba, looking at a high of 11, Brittany, tomorrow, and temperatures staying in the double digits through the weekend.
Thanks, Riley.
You're welcome.
All right, and this is the Saskatchewan River near OCN, of course, before last weekend's snow. We have more to come. Tensions with the U.S. over trade have some questioning if buying American-made F-35 fighter jets is still the right decision for Canada. CBC's David Common looked into what goes into building the cutting-edge fighter and found a surprising Canadian connection.
This will be the most expensive fighter jet Canada has ever purchased. But with cross-border tensions now, is a plane built by an American defense company still right for Canada? We have the option of buying 88 planes, but we're only contractually obligated to buy 16 of them.
What I'd like to see, Canada become our 51st state.
Talk like this has threatened to scuttle the deal.
The fact that Canadian industry plays a major part in building this platform and has continued to grow in that, and the economic impact that it provides back to Canada. Canada is definitely a part of this F-35 platform.
He has a point. While the fighter jets are assembled here in Texas, parts come from a global supply chain. And because Canada has been part of this program for decades, Canadian suppliers are among those putting parts in, including here in Lunenburg, Nova Scotia at Stelia, which makes composite parts.
I mean, anybody I talk to and say that we're manufacturing F-35 aircraft parts in Nova Scotia are shocked to know that that's what we're doing for work.
If the government backed away from the deal, it could hit the Canadian contractors who would lose preferential access. Others argue Canada could cut short the F-35 order and add in a cheaper jet to our fleet. Top of that list is often the Gripen, produced by NATO ally Sweden.
You have to remember that 70% of the cost of a aircraft is its long-term support, not its acquisition. And with regard to that, the Gripen E, for instance, is 1/6 the cost per hour flying cost as the F-35.
But what makes the decision all the more complicated is that these planes may be assembled in America, but parts are built in Canada. So canceling has implication to workers and investment on both sides of the border. David Common, CBC News, Fort Worth, Texas.
Hamas has handed over 2 more bodies of Israeli hostages. The militant group says it's fulfilled its commitment to the first stage of the peace deal and says it doesn't have access to other remains because they're buried under the rubble in Gaza. As Briar Stewart reports, that could mean trouble for the deal that stopped the fighting.
Hamas has returned 2 more bodies to Israel, but the militant group says it will not be able to retrieve any more deceased hostages at this point without the help of expertise and heavy equipment. Obviously, a large portion of Gaza has been reduced to rubble. Now, there has been rising tension over the past couple of days around the exchange of remains. Yesterday, Israel received 4 bodies, but after forensic identification tests, it said that only 3 of them belonged to hostages. Now, under this deal, for every 1 deceased hostage who was returned to Israel, Israel is supposed to return the bodies of 15 Palestinians. Gaza health officials say that it has received 90 bodies so far, and that doctors are working there to try to identify them. But obviously there are capacity issues in Gaza, and what officials say is that if they aren't able to identify the bodies, then they will take photos and post them and hopefully have family members identify them that way. A freelance videographer working for CBC News has spoken to a few Gazans who said that their loved ones were last seen and heard from on October 7th, 2023. And over the past 2 years, they've been wondering whether or not they were killed that day or they ended up in Israeli detention. There continues to be questions around the amount of aid going into Gaza as part of the deal. 16 aid trucks were supposed to enter every day, but Israel said that it was going to curtail aid over the delay in the exchange of bodies. And tomorrow, the Rafah crossing, which is between Egypt and Gaza, is supposed to reopen, but Israel has said it will only open for the transit of people, and this is mainly patients who have been severely injured and require medical treatment abroad. The ceasefire is holding, but it is precarious. Today, the Israeli military said it fired on Gazans who were approaching troop positions and had crossed the yellow ceasefire line. Briar Stewart, CBC News, Jerusalem.
As flu season begins, a national advocacy group for seniors is speaking out about the differences in access to vaccines across the country. The group says where you live can greatly impact your ability to get a shot. Shayna Luck has that story.
Debbie Lewis-Boyce takes care of herself. Now retired from a career in healthcare, she goes to the gym in Halifax regularly. And on this day, on her way home, she stopped in to get her annual flu and COVID vaccine.
I'm very much pro preventive healthcare. I've seen the repercussions of people that haven't taken care of themselves, and if they don't take care of themselves, they can't take care of their families.
This is the start of Nova Scotia's annual flu and COVID vaccine campaign, a busy day of appointments for pharmacist Jamie Flynn.
They signed up this first day that the system went live, and so I've got people that are very interested in preventative health in now.
But not every province covers the same vaccines in the same way. Seniors advocate Laura Tamblin-Watts says Atlantic Canada has made strides in covering more vaccines for the older population. She says that's cheaper for the healthcare system long term.
And so for areas that are really under strain, putting adult vaccination to the fore is the cheapest and most effective thing you can do to relieve that strain.
CanAge, a seniors advocacy group, just released a report card on vaccines for people over 50. Provinces like PEI and Nova Scotia scored highest, but some western provinces and territories lost points for gaps in coverage for diseases like shingles and RSV. And Alberta and Quebec lost points for introducing a charge for COVID-19 vaccines this year.
The troubling divide is when we're seeing jurisdictions like Alberta take steps in the wrong direction.
Bill Van Gorder says he's seeing Atlantic seniors take advantage of free vaccines, and particularly shingles.
They're having to make decisions on what gets paid for and what doesn't, and many people had decided to not get their vaccines because they couldn't afford them.
And as the cost of living increases, Van Gorder says free vaccines will become more important to keep Canadian seniors and the healthcare system in better shape. Shayna Luck, CBC News, Halifax.
Instagram has introduced new measures to protect young people who use the app. The minimum age to sign up for the social media platform is already 13. Now it's adding additional restrictions on content seen by teens under 18. But as Anis Hadari reports, there's skepticism it will actually work.
Instagram says it's limiting what younger users see. These teens say that's smart.
I saw a lot of graphic content on Instagram, like people getting killed, like car crashes. And even myself, like I see a lot of stuff that shouldn't be on Instagram.
Like, there's too much going on and it's too graphic for kids to be seeing, and I don't think kids should be seeing it.
Instagram says it already bars teen accounts from sexually suggestive and violent content. Now it's restricting them to only what might be in a movie rated PG-13. That likely means no sex, drugs, or risky stunts.
Research shows it isn't working as well as the company says it is.
But analysts say Instagram hasn't been great at this so far.
The risk of announcements like this is that parents assume that platforms like Meta have this problem in hand, that they're taking care of it, and then they kind of ease back on their efforts to ensure that their kids are safe in the digital environment.
Any type of rule we put in their place, they find ways to go out about it.
Catherine Korakakis has 2 teenagers and agrees this is on parents, too.
If a parent doesn't know that their kid is signed up for any social media platform, they can put any birthday they want, right? They can do whatever they want.
Meta has said it will use AI plus monitor what users view to determine their age. In an email to CBC News, a Meta spokesperson wrote, "We've taken steps to restrict the setup or use of accounts with inaccurate age information." But it may be impossible to know how effective those steps are, say some researchers.
What I would like to see is sort of independent third-party verification on how effective these tools are, because we also know teens are very adept at getting around any regulation or any system you put on a piece of technology or in real life.
While this change affects users in the US, UK, and Canada, it will be a moot point in Australia by early December, where kids will be banned from having an Instagram account at all if they're under 16. Anis Hadari, CBC News, Calgary.
Hockey Quebec has launched a series of ads to discourage bad behavior. It's aimed at reining in toxic behavior from parents in the stands at their kids' games and remind them children are there to have fun. Sarah Levitt has more.
There are too many examples of it. Hockey parents taking things too far. Brawls like this one at a game for 7- and 8-year-olds in Hamilton Or this one at a minor league tournament in Gatineau, Quebec, where a fight in the stands led to fighting on the ice, too. Now, Hockey Quebec is saying enough is enough through a series of commercials.
Let's go away! Hey, butts in! Butts in! Whoa.
Asking parents if they recognize themselves in the ads, aggressive and angry at the kids, coaches, and referees, no matter how young.
We're passionate about hockey. So we're using our platform to say, listen, take a little pause, and you know what? It's just a game.
In most provinces, hockey associations have made it mandatory for at least one parent from each household to take an online course called the Respect in Sport Parent Program. Created in part by former NHLer Sheldon Kennedy, it's meant to teach parents the impact of their behavior. Hockey Quebec, though, hasn't made the course compulsory, saying it has no way to police parents. Instead, these latest ads are meant to shock them into change.
Hey, regarde-moi.
Including how they talk to their own kids. At this youth hockey practice in Montreal, coach Darren Bearsy tries to teach his players respect is a necessity on and off the ice.
So we have a parent's code of conduct, we have a coach's code of conduct, we have a player's code of conduct, and we expect everybody on our team to follow that.
While he says the majority of parents are there to support their kids, the few bad apples can quickly ruin the fun for everyone. Sarah Levitt, CBC News, Montreal.
Well, it will soon be housing, healthcare, and even a grocery store. But back in the 80s, Portage Place was the place to be. We take a look way back next. It was just under 40 years ago that Portage Place opened its doors. Tonight, as a major transformation gets underway, we thought we'd take a look back at the day the mall opened to customers for the first time. Here's a story that aired on September 19th, 1987.
Portage Place is now open.
With that, an $80 million shopping complex, billed as the new heart of downtown Winnipeg, was in business.
Wow, did you ever think it was going to happen?
This is 3 city blocks full of stores, restaurants, and theaters. All but 6 were ready to open today, but even that was disappointing to the center's owners.
It is a little, but out of the total of, on the main project side of 130 stores, 4 or 5 not making it is not too bad.
Picasso's restaurant missed the grand opening, but workers were busy today racing to get everything finished. The owner vows to be open sometime tomorrow.
We're going to work some overtime, and we have a few people working from midnight until noon tomorrow.
But ready or not, Winnipeggers flocked in the thousands to see what this place was all about.
The face of the city is changing.
The Portage Place theme song echoed throughout the main courtyard this morning as people got acquainted with their new downtown landmark. And many agreed Portage Place will make downtown Winnipeg come alive.
It'll attract a lot of people, I think. It's really nice.
I remember a long time ago when it used to be just plain, and now it's just totally like Toronto or something.
Many of the stores here are familiar to local malls, but there are about 25 newcomers to Winnipeg and about the same number of homegrown shops and restaurants. The center's owners hope all this fervor will last at least 75 years. That's when this time capsule will be opened. It's filled with Portage Place memorabilia and was put in storage during today's official opening. It's a symbolic gesture highlighting the fact that the lease for the land Portage Place is built on runs out in 2062. That's when governments can buy all this back for $1. Yvonne Butcher, CBC News, Winnipeg.
That story has everything you love about the 80s. The hair, the glasses, a theme song.
You know, I love the theme song. It's a pretty catchy one.
We got to bring that back.
Yeah, exactly.
A new theme song for the new Portage Place.
In case you were wondering, I did do a little bit of digging for you on what the weather was like that day. Actually pretty similar to today, in Winnipeg at least anyway. Have a look at this. So we did see a mainly cloudy sky in Winnipeg on this date, September 17th of 87. Mostly cloudy skies, some showers, some thunderstorms. Our high that day got up to 17 degrees. Not as warm as that today across southern Manitoba, although we were close to 11 or 12 for the most part across the south. We'll look at your current temperatures in just a moment. Looking at your dog walking forecast, and boy, oh boy, either get the booties ready because we're looking at some wet conditions, or perhaps you're like Clara, who might be better off on the couch tomorrow. Thank you, Kristen, for sending this picture, and you can send yours, as always, to talkback at cbc.ca. And yeah, we're looking at a damp one, perhaps not all day, periods of rain. 9 degrees first thing in the morning. Our winds stay fairly light through the day. We'll see a bit more of a shift to an easterly, then a more northeasterly flow as we get through into the afternoon and into the evening hours. And then that's when we have that likelihood of some thunderstorm activity as we get overnight into Friday morning. So temperatures right now, at least in Winnipeg, looking at 11 degrees, mostly cloudy at the moment, a light south wind right now anyway. Pressure starting to level off. We'll start to see that switch around to more of a falling pressure as we get into the night tonight. 11 degrees in the city right now, 9 in Brandon, Dauphin at 12, Thompson at 5 degrees. We have seen some warmer conditions in northern Manitoba, and that will help melt and kind of help clean up some of that snow that fell over the long weekend. With this system, temperatures do stay well above the freezing mark, so I am expecting all of this to fall even as we get into Saturday as rain through northern Manitoba once this system reaches the north in the coming days here. Overnight temperatures, 6s and 7s, a good chance of some showers through Westman. There is a chance of showers through the Parkland and into the central and northern Interlake. Temperatures in the west around 7 degrees tonight, 7s and 8s into the Interlake, 6 in Peguis, mainly cloudy, 4 degrees in Swan River. In northern Manitoba, 3 in Thompson, Flin Flon, the Pas, OCN, 6 in Barons River, maybe a couple of odd showers out of some of this cloud cover through Island Lake and Barons River first thing in the morning. Then as that frontal boundary pushes through, we do get into some clearing behind that, and temperatures by the afternoon looking at 11s and 12s for much of northern Manitoba, and a much brighter sky as we get through the day again. In the north tomorrow, in the south, we're into some cloud cover, maybe a few fog patches first thing in the morning into northwestern Ontario, but the rest of us into periods of rain tomorrow. Some steadier rain moving in, Brittany, as we get into the afternoon hours for northwestern Ontario, and we'll get another round of this as we get into Friday.
Okay, thank you, Riley.
You're welcome.
It's a sign of artistic resilience after years of uncertainty. The Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra has reached a financial milestone, reporting its first operating surplus since the pandemic. The executive director spoke with Marcy Marcusa about how the pandemic hit them.
Because our first year back in production, I think we were 60% of what our normal audiences would be. And that was pretty much the case across the country. The study showed that was what it was going to be. The reason why this crisis didn't hit us sooner is that we did have wage and rent subsidies that helped carry us through the first couple of years, but they did run out. So the year prior to last year, we were still at roughly 60% of audiences, but last year we climbed up to, and we're still comparing to pre-pandemic times, we climbed up to 80%. So that gave us hope, but I mean, I think most folks know that arts organizations live on part government, part ticket sales, and part fundraising. And so we needed all three of those roughly equal levels of funding to keep going, or to climb rather. And so we had started our advocacy at the government level a couple of years prior. We'd started communicating very transparently to donors and ticket buyers that we needed them to come back. So all I can say is that every single one of those three streams stepped up to the plate, showed how much they loved the WSO, showed how important they knew that the arts were to community building, bringing people together, to bringing people downtown. And so really, we were so gratified to see that recovery.
When you break down those three areas that you mentioned, more people stepping up to buy tickets, how much was the increase then, year over year?
30% from 30? The previous year.
Okay.
Yep.
And then private donations, you guys had a record year, right?
We had a record year. I mean, the WSO always does very, very well in terms of our individual donations, and that's gratifying because not only do people buy tickets to our concerts and many concerts throughout the year, they also write checks. They'll top up their donations. They might be small amounts or there might be large amounts. So both in the number of donors and the amounts that people gave to the WSO, that was an all-time high.
Is that still a challenge, sort of competing for that dollar when, of course, everything's lean out there for families? Do you lose subscribers, do you think, to the sports scene in the city?
We've certainly lost subscribers, but I'm not sure it's because of the Jets or because of sports. I think it has more to do with the younger generation. They want flexible options. They don't want to commit their time a whole year in advance. So we've seen our single tickets go way up and our subscriptions go way down. I think that's reflective of the demographic. So we're doing things like memberships. So for a monthly membership, you can come to a concert practically for free. And we're seeing some uptake on those more flexible, affordable membership models, but it all goes back to why we need government investment so that, in some parts of the world, they have a lot of free events for people to enjoy because of the value that they bring to communities and bringing people together. So.
And then the interest is there, and then somebody may, then they're going to buy a single ticket or maybe subscribe.
Right.
Because they've had a taste.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. When the pandemic hit, how long did you envision the recovery would take?
Well, the very first stats out there were 3 to 4 years. And then by 21-22, Business for the Arts and Nanos Research were saying, it's going to be more like 6 to 10 years for us to recover. And so what are we at? We're roughly at the 5-6 year mark. And we are seeing that recovery, but we've had to really reinvent what we offer and how we offer it. And so it takes time because arts organizations plan 2 to 3 years in advance. So it takes time for us to shift and pivot and start to appeal to, the new demographic. And they're coming because once they experience it, they get so excited and they want to come back.
On the road to financial recovery, when you guys had the lean years, how much did everyone step up? I mean, even when you think of musicians and You guys had a reduced season. I mean, there were a lot of things that you went through. I think you even went through staff cuts, maybe.
Yes. We function very, very leanly relative to our sister organizations across the country, orchestras rather. And so when I say everyone stepped up, the musicians stepped up. It was a tough agreement to get across, but people worked very hard. They understood, what they had to do. We're going to build back up over time, so the weeks are going to increase back over time. As I said, the board stepped up with its time and its pocketbook. We function. I don't think we could be any leaner as a staff. We have a lot of unfilled positions, so we just have to keep people going and see that recovery.
Still ahead, how you could own a slice of Manitoba real estate for just $1. Plus, Riley's back with a last check on our forecast. Stay with us. It's an offer one municipality hopes will be hard to refuse. Swan Valley West is selling a restaurant for the low price of $1. The building once housed a cafe in Benito, a community near the Saskatchewan border. But for years, it sat vacant. Now it's up for sale with one caveat. The future owner actually uses the space. The Reeve says so far there's been lots of interest.
I talked to a restaurant owner from a different community who said, gee, I'm thinking of maybe moving up there. I talked to someone who's found someone online that they're dating from the area and are looking for a reason to move here. And they're like, well, maybe I could start a business and be closer to my significant other. So there's been a lot of interesting stories.
He says other ideas for the property are a family fun center or a daycare.
And let's have a look at your 7-day forecast, and I hope that you have your umbrellas handy because we're looking at things a bit damp across south and central Manitoba the next couple of days, into northern Manitoba as we head into the weekend. So 5 to 10 millimeters coming as we get through Thursday, tapering off through Friday. Again, hopeful that we'll see that tapering off in time for the football game in the evening, but do prepare for a bit of a windy one as we head into Saturday. 10 degrees, we'll get some sunshine back through the weekend, still a bit breezy into Sunday. Into Monday, 11 degrees and 8s and 7s into Tuesday and Wednesday. A couple weather pictures for you. Debbie took these near Big Valley, which is just outside of Neepawa, of the fall colors there. You can send yours. I could use some more to talk back at cbc.ca. A new art installation that pays homage to the city and its people is now on display in New York.
New York's Grand Central's walls, ceilings, and even subway platforms have been transformed, all to tell stories. Here's your Daily Lift. The 150 existing digital screens in the terminal now show portraits and stories of everyday New Yorkers. It invites commuters to pause amid the rush to reflect on the shared humanity of city life. It was photographed by a photographer based on his book, Dear New York.
He says all kinds of people are packed together in the city and the terminal. He feels there's something spiritual about gathering and seeing displays like this. Some 750,000 people pass through here on a daily basis.
Wow.
So
a little slice of the hustle and bustle of New York City.
Just a chance just to stop and breathe for a moment.
Right, we could all use that reminder. Stop and breathe for just a minute. Have a wonderful night. We'll see you here tomorrow.
Bye.